We wanted to create a place where you can go back in time and explore all the stories of the 50-year RSM history. A complete timeline that not only tells those stories, but also instills a sense of pride about the history and ignites inspiration for the future. After months of work by many, hunting and digging through the archive, puzzling all the pieces together, it's with great honor that I get to unveil and present to you the official 50-year historical timeline of Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. The first part of our timeline is a story of many firsts. The first plans, the first school building, the first classroom, and of course, the first students. The first item on our timeline, and my favorite piece, is this one-page business plan. It was made by our founding fathers, and they compared 4 European business schools, and they used it to design the school and the curriculum. The beginning of our timeline contains a picture of our very first school building. And on this school building, of course, there was a building sign. This is the original building sign from 1970, and luckily, it survived the past 50 years. Another great discovery from the RSM archives are these 3 pictures. They were scattered amongst hundreds of pictures, and after studying them for a while, we figured out that they fit together, creating a beautiful panorama of one of the first classrooms. If you look closely, you see a blackboard with a process flow. Of course, you see 1970s students with long hair and their appropriate clothes. And at the very back of the classroom, in the window, you see 2 beer bottles. Let's just say things were a bit different in the 70s. This first part of our timeline is quite dynamic. Our newly formed school grows. We welcome more students, and after a while, it's the start of the MBA program, the PhD program. In 1977, SVIP is founded, which is currently called STAR, and we moved the school from Rotterdam to Delft. The second part of our timeline is even more dynamic. After over 10 years, our school moves back from Delft to Rotterdam, to the FG building in 1984. Here it becomes a proper academic faculty, part of the state-recognized Erasmus University. In this phase, it's all about further internationalization, development, expansion, and academic recognition. In 1989, RSM is admitted into the prestigious Community of European Management Schools, CEMS, and the PIM network, Program in International Management. The exchange program of RSM starts to take shape in a tremendous way. Here on the timeline, we see a graduation ceremony taking place in the early years. In the mid-1980s, the new FG building allowed for a lot of space for a new computer lab. The importance of automation in the workplace was on the rise, and the shape and size of computers changed over the years. RSM has always invested heavily in those facilities because of their importance for education. Nowadays, everybody just brings their own device. The early 90s marked the birth of the internet, and our timeline describes how new ways of doing research and delivering education were developed. For instance, in the late 90s, as part of the Doctorandus 2000 project, RSM started experimenting with delivering video lectures on CD-ROMs.
Welkom bij dit college over leiderschap.
Students were learned how to code in Delphi and other programming languages. And from 2000 onward, the faculty implemented digital case methods. For instance, this adventure game case, where learning, testing, grading and fraud detection all was done via advanced CD-ROMs and floppy disks. The last part of our timeline is all about further growth and integration. RSM becomes one brand name, unifying all research and programs under one label. We continue to climb the most important rankings. We welcome more students, we make more impressive publications, and our name continues to grow as a brand name in the market. In 2009, the I Will movement launches. Students, staff and faculty make a public commitment to their drive and ambitions, reflecting RSM spirit. By 2020, there are no more than 15,000 statements. In 2017, RSM embarks on a new strategic mission to become a force for positive change. By embracing the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, they try to implement a new way of measuring societal impact. And this concludes my brief overview of the RSM timeline. Come over to the Mandeville building and have a look yourself, or go over to the Bale building where we have an identical timeline set up. Or you can go to rsm.nl/50 to find more online resources, videos and all the stories of the 50-year RSM history. Come and explore our shared history now.